Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to this meeting of the Logan County Commissioners. Today is January 29th, 2021. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Item 2 is our flag salute. Please rise for the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, thank you all for coming. Item 3 is any citizen desiring to be heard. We have a citizen that would like to be heard. Now's the time, please. Let's have your name. Hearing none? Okay, we'll move on to item 4, consideration of possible action to approve minutes of January 15th, 2021.
I'll move we approve.
A second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And Troy, I really like the new minutes.
Thank you.
All right, item 5. Consideration of possible action to acknowledge receipt of the state auditor's annual statutory report on Logan County Treasurer's Office.
We received this from SA&I. This is the first year when I've received this that they've requested it come to the board to be formally acknowledged. There was no deficiencies in the annual report on the treasurer's office.
I did get it emailed to me, so I'll move that we approve.
A second.
I also got to read it. So I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just might add that I think she's done a pretty good job over there, so.
The auditor?
The auditor and Sherry, so.
I thought, yeah, the treasurer is who you were talking about. Yes, sir. I agree. All right. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. And so the motion was to acknowledge, not to approve?
Right,
Okay.
right. There wasn't, the report is what it is, so it's just acknowledging you received it.
Okay. That makes sense. All right, item 6. Consideration and possible action to award bid number 2021-18 for one used semi-truck for District 1, tabled from January 15th, 2020. I'd like to report to the board, our guys did pick a good, I think made a good pick on that. We've decided to go with, recommend to the board that we pick this Mack truck, this 2013 Mack truck. Has 14,752 miles on it for $54,550. This is the truck that we'd like to pick. Now that one's got, it's a 2013 and it's got way low miles on it, but it's got 5,000 engine hours on it. So what the guys went out and looked at it, drove it. It looks like a truck that doesn't have a lot of miles on it, but the engine and transmission seem to be in good shape, real good shape, and they believe it was probably used as a oil field pumper truck, where it was taken out to location and operated on location. That's how the hours got on it.
Was that Bruckner that had that?
It is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
How'd they fall in the bid category? I mean, I know it's not apples for apples.
Well, the other ones are right there. I believe that they were like second lowest, but the other one had like 300,000 miles on it.
I'll move that we approve Bruckner as the best bids.
A second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. Item 7. Okay, David, you're going to be up here. Discussion of possible action concerning emergency management office issues with Logan County emergency manager. And I'd like to clarify that they're not really issues, they're just discussion topics and items that we need to go over, right? The first one is the county district burn sites and DEQ requirements and or exceptions for mandatory use of air curtain representative to attend the meeting. Ma'am, I believe you're here to help that. Would you state your name for the record so the county clerk would know who you are?
It's Ashley Sebree, S-E-B as in boy, R-E-E.
And Board, Ashley and I had a discussion prior to this, and she was more than forthcoming with that there is a possibility under this latest emergency of having an exception to air curtains for certain geographic areas. So that's one of the things that we wanted to chat with you about.
Sure.
And if you could kind of explain that to us, we'd be happy to question you more. I'm sure these been the next questions as well.
Sure. So anytime that there's a disaster declared, in order for you guys to receive FEMA money, you have to register your emergency debris site with DEQ. So I come out after you fill out your paperwork, and we just evaluate your site and make sure that it meets all the criteria. Because Logan County is within a metropolitan statistical area, you're required to use an air curtain incinerator for the burning of the debris. However, as of this year, our air quality rules have recently changed, and so you can apply, submit an application to get an exemption for the use of an air curtain incinerator. But it's my understanding, so basically you would submit that application to me, which I know Guthrie did, and then I pass it along to my manager, and then our air quality division director, as well as my division director, which is environmental complaints and local services. They meet and they discuss if they believe that the site would be approved for an exemption. But it's my understanding that it's mostly more rural sites that are far away from town and that wouldn't have an issue, you know, depending on which way the wind is blowing, for smoke getting into town or for being a public nuisance.
Right. I think probably Monty's site would absolutely qualify as being rural. I mean, the coyotes don't even know how to get to his barn. It's that far out in the country. So.
And where is yours located?
I'm north of Crescent.
Okay.
About 2 miles.
And I know that I believe the city of Crescent was approved for an exemption for not having to burn with an air curtain incinerator. Did you work with Amy at all? She doesn't work at DEQ anymore. Did you work with her recently about?
It's been a while. She came up one time and she's going to fine me $10,000 for burning brush out in the country.
A day.
And then, you know, the farmers across the road, they can burn their stuff. We just can't burn our stuff. I never did get my head wrapped around that. How come my smoke's so much different than theirs? But
Well, we don't have jurisdiction over any sort of farming. That would be Department of Agriculture.
Just on that note, I noticed they burn brush here in town at Guthrie all the time. I mean, how do we do that?
Where is that exactly?
Well, it don't matter. But
Well, I mean, if you tell me, I can look into it.
No, I'm okay with it. I got a site that was approved, so I got an air curtain, and you know, they said I had to have an air curtain. Y'all gave me $50,000 to buy an air curtain, so I got an air curtain.
So, and we have one air curtain for 3 sites, and that's kind of where we're at right now. One of the constraints is, there's a couple of them, you know, one's a fiscal constraint, and that is try and buy an air curtain right now. Yeah, they're all gone, right? So you can't really find one. And then they're real expensive, right? And so what we're looking for is, you know, some assistance on how to apply for those, how to apply not to have to have an air curtain, an exception, how to apply for an exception to the air curtain requirement.
For everyday burning, or are you talking about disasters?
For this disaster.
Okay.
Right. Everyday burning, I think
Continue to use the.
we're going to have some everyday burning for probably the next 6 months because of this disaster.
Right.
So, so yeah, we're going to need some help on that.
So
all we need to know is what we need to fill out. Well, I'm going to say all we need to know. That's not all. But all I would like to know is what forms have you got? What do we need to fill out? How do we apply for that? And we'll get that started. And we'll work with David and get that working.
Sure. So you would have to, and I can send this all in an email as well. That way you guys have it written down. But basically, we would want whoever is the highest, holding the highest position for whatever entity. So that would probably be you guys. You would write a letter stating why you need an exemption. A lot of people that have submitted them have kind of included financial information as to why it's a financial constraint to rent an air curtain incinerator or build one. You would also want to include information about if your site is rural. Like I said, if it's not very rural, then it's likely not going to be approved. And unfortunately, I don't have any say in what sites get approved, so I can't tell you the likelihood of your site getting approved or not. But you would also want to include information about, if there is people nearby, on what kind of days you would burn. If they're located on the north side of your site, only burning when the wind is out of the north, that kind of stuff. So I can definitely send you guys an email on that. But if your site is already registered, are you still trying to get an exemption for that specific site? Is that?
I don't want to speak for Monty, but I know his site was registered at one time and still is, I believe.
It is.
So yeah, we'd want to get an exception for that site, for Cody's site as well. Mine is, so I'm going to ask you a quick question before I ask for an exception for mine. Was the city of Guthrie's request for exception approved?
That was, it was not approved.
Okay, so mine wouldn't be approved either because I'm within the city limits, right? So we've got one air curtain, and anytime I'm burning, the guys have been really good about letting us use the air curtain to burn, and we've got a lot of debris from South County that's got to come up.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's a lot of debris from everywhere, that we all need to dispose of. So sharing one air curtain is going to be problematic for us.
Well, right, and unfortunately, I don't think that we have any current funds available for. I know that, like you said, it was through a grant that you all were able to get it. But I mean, I think you're kind of one of the few counties that were actually able to get the air curtain incinerator through that grant. And so I'm not quite sure when exactly more of those grants would appear, and if they would, give another grant to a county that already received one in the past.
I think it was about 3 years ago, wasn't it, Mine?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Okay, so just out of curiosity, because like I said, I didn't always work in this area, and I know Amy kind of worked with you guys with getting that air curtain incinerator. So where does it normally stay in the county?
At my shop, 2 miles north of Crescent.
Okay.
It'd be State Highway 74 and County Road 71, half a mile west.
Okay. And I apologize, which district are you in?
3.
3. Okay. Well, like I said, I'll get some information together about applying for those exemptions, and I can send that to you guys in an email. That way you have that information, and we can see if it's a possibility. But like I said, unfortunately, I don't have that say. I can just pass that information along, and then the directors meet and determine whether or not the site meets the criteria.
Sure. One thing that you mentioned that piqued my attention was the ability to build an air curtain. I think you just kind of mentioned that in passing.
Excuse me.
No worries. And you were good enough to send me the specifications for the air curtain, and I did read that and I looked at it, but I really couldn't tell how to build an air curtain from it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how would we go about understanding what the actual requirements were to do that, to build one that was agreeable to DEQ?
Mm-hmm. So I spoke with Brad Fleming, and he's in our air quality division. He's a manager, and he said that there are no specific construction standards for building your own air curtain incinerator, but that it should be designed and operated for the control of smoke and particulate matter. So essentially, you would want it to be deep enough to be able to hold and properly burn the amount of debris that you're using, and you would want to make sure that it's built in a manner to where you actually have a curtain over the debris that you're burning and not lots of smoke or particulate matter. Yes, yeah, your air curtain. Yeah.
Okay.
So essentially there are no construction standards. The state doesn't have any written down, and the federal rule doesn't have any either.
Okay. So a GE box fan, you see where I'm going with this?
I understand what you're saying.
Probably wouldn't meet that, but who's gonna, if we don't have standards, to look at on how we would construct that, how would we know that it meets the standard? I'm not trying to split hairs too fine here, but I'm trying to figure out how we could do that. A large fan with a flexible flex hose or something like that is perforated along the side and is able to blow air out over a trench would kind of meet that requirement, but again, to control, particulate matter going up into the atmosphere, into the air, at how much control? I mean, I don't want us to go to some trouble of trying to create one and then, be able to get fined, for not following requirements, right?
Well, if you were wanting to build one, I could see if Brad Fleming maybe had any sort of recommendations for what, they've seen or he's seen in the past regarding what type of air compressor or manifold would work the best. But essentially, like I said, I mean, we don't really have any recommendations, but when we get complaints on them, people will call in and complain, and we'll go out there and see, is it really, working as a true air curtain incinerator? Is it keeping particulate matter from, leaving the pit? Are you overloading it and there's lots of smoke? So those are things that we would look at.
The air curtain we have, it don't prevent it from smoking. I mean, if you light a fire, it's going to smoke. I don't care what kind of air curtain you got there. But, so to answer your question, Marvin, I think their goal is they don't want it to smoke. But
Right.
I'm sure if you light a fire, it's
So
gonna
we
smoke.
can't throw cedar tree parts in there because those really smoke.
They burn all the time in California. They don't have an air curtain.
Right. Well, they burn the whole state of California, right? So, okay.
But like I said, I can look into it with Brad Fleming
Sure,
to
that
see
would
if he
be-
has any recommendations.
That would be helpful. We,
Okay.
any information you can pass back to us, that would be great. And David would be our point of contact for the board in that regard, if you can get that back with him.
So are you over this area now?
Yes, Amy's old position is vacant, so I'm kind of handling all of Logan County right now. But when we get someone new, we'll make sure to let you guys know, and that person would cover the west half of Logan County.
Well, good luck with it.
Are you in the city limits over there?
I believe I'm out right outside the city.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Okay. Okay. Anything else, ma'am? Would you like to address the board while you're here? Okay.
No, but if you guys have any questions about, anything, feel free to
Right.
let me know, and if I don't know the answer, I'd be happy to look into it for
Again, we
you.
really appreciate you coming up to Logan County to visit with us on this. Thanks. Okay, item next. Explanation of new, more restrictive state agency mandated sealed bid requirements versus statutory county purchasing sealed bid requirements for engaging private contractor support and collecting and disposing of county-wide October 2020 storm debris. This came up, I think, while you were gone, Troy. And David sat in on one of the statewide storm management, debris management meetings, and had to do with taking bids for contractors to help us move the debris out, right? So, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of debris out there that needs to be moved. Some of us may want to take advantage of the 75% DEQ, not DEQ, I'm sorry, I got DEQ on the brain. FEMA reimbursement, right? And hire that out to get that down in here. And David said that the folks at the state said that there was more restrictive bid requirements, sealed bid requirements, and that we would have to use a larger distribution of a newspaper to send them out to, and there's something other than what we're required to do for county purchasing requirements, right? And so I kind of thought that was an interesting that a state agency would decide all of a sudden that they could intercede in county purchasing requirements that are in statutes that we're required to follow. So I wanted you to help us address that and maybe get with David to figure that one out.
I will, but Marvin, I haven't researched this particular thing. However, because it is tied to state and federal grant money through FEMA, the idea that they would have some of their own little rules to be able to get to that isn't surprising.
Right. Well, I can see them enforcing them on metropolitan areas and you know,
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. But counties have specific requirements for sealed bids for contracted work. Anyway,
We can, I mean, I'll look into it. If their only thing is saying they want to cover a bigger area than right here, I mean, we can make that happen, but I don't know if it's required. We'll find out what we can.
I kind of take it as just, they wanted to be sure that we covered every base that we could, and then, so FEMA can't come back and say, hey, look, you didn't do this, so we're not gonna give you the money. I think it was just more of a safety type deal, is the way I took it, and I'm probably
Right.
wrong.
well, I mean, we all want to get reimbursed, but
Sure.
The fewer hoops we have to jump through, I think the better for all of us in the long run.
I agree.
And OEM has said it, I mean, if we write a bid up, they would be happy to review it to make sure we're doing everything. Because the last thing I want is we go out for bids and we think we're doing it all right, and then when FEMA comes back and finds out, oh, you missed these 3 steps, so now the county's on the hook for paying that vendor, and FEMA's not gonna help reimburse the 75%.
Well, I think we should pursue that, just see what's available and see what it's gonna cost. I mean, how much, and it would be according to cubic yard, I would think, because that's how FEMA reimburses it, right? So, what's the cost per cubic yard, per mile, you know, et cetera, right? So, they would, the contract would be for them to pick it up and haul it to one of our disposal sites, and or for them to dispose of it, right? I think that would get very expensive, though. But whatever we decide, I mean, I think that we need to look at that, because there's just so much of that debris out there still on the ground that we gotta get picked up.
And it's gonna have to just be the debris relating to the ice storm event. You know, Christmas trees, that somebody's trying to dispose of a Christmas tree isn't related from the ice storm event, so. You know, it'll just be something you just have to follow through as the process moves along.
It's pretty tough to monitor that.
It is.
I mean, if it had green leaves on it, chances are it wasn't in a nice
Yeah.
spot.
Well, no, the ice storm hit when we still had green leaves.
Well, but this spring is gonna be the challenge.
Yeah.
But we'll work through the process.
So no grass clippings, because that really makes the air curtain smoke, okay? I'm just
Ah.
gonna put that out there.
Yeah.
Tires not too bad.
Tires? Okay. Anyway, man, your help on that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay.
All right. Next item, review countywide radio frequency spectrum available for use, including county road districts. I've done enough investigation on this just to be dangerous, gentlemen. I mean, I've seen where it says that the county road districts are able to use some of the FM radio frequencies that we have, and the emergency management and road districts are kind of lumped together in that area. So, David, what have you been able to find on that for us?
Here's the list of the VHF frequencies now. So, and I can't tell you the exact number, but the sheriff's office, previous to going to 800, had their own radio frequency. I believe that would be an option to use that again. I think there's some equipment on a tower south of town, but we need to verify that. We need to verify the cost to make sure the license is still good, the FCC license is still good, and everything is there. But there would be a possibility of using that VHF frequency to go for. But these are frequencies that's in use now. Is this what you were asking for?
Well, yeah, frequencies available for use is what I was really
Yeah,
asking.
well, okay, so like on this list, yeah, we can't use any of these here.
No,
But-
okay, I wanted to, you said in use today, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you've got emergency management frequencies that are not being used today, they are not on this list?
No, well, there is the old sheriff's office frequency prior to them going to the 800 radio system. But it is not listed on here because it's not currently being used. My understanding, it's just kind of inactive. And please, Damon, if I say something wrong, I'm not trying to.
Well, we should still be licensed to use that. When it's 800, everything kind of, as far as maintenance on the VHF and everything kind of stopped, my understanding. That's certainly something we can look at to see the tower and where the repeater is and everything. And we've talked about trying to get that functional again, just as a backup.
Sure.
If we were to make it usable again, you know, you guys would be welcome to use that, because like I said, our primary is the 800.
Right. So, David, I've seen on this list, not this list, but I've seen on the list that includes some of these on the top. Logan County EM/County Highway. And I don't see that on here.
Yeah, there's District 2 previously has a frequency, but there was a tower on a private person's property, Southeast County by Meridian, that he allowed District 2 to use. He was brush hogging one day and knocked that tower down. And so the District 2 has VHF radios in their vehicles that basically they can talk vehicle to vehicle, but for a huge range and all of that,
David,
we don't have a tower.
all I'm trying to do right now is identify the frequencies that are available and that have been used and that are available for use.
Okay, I'll have to go back and get that one for District 2. It's not on this big list, but I'll get it to you.
And there's one for EM, Emergency Management.
Well-
That says EM and County
District 2.
Highway.
Yes.
It doesn't say District 2 on it.
Okay.
It says County Highway, right? So that means all three districts could use it, in my mind, and EM. Okay, so please go back and try and run that down for us.
Okay.
All right, appreciate it. All right, last item, status of relocation of County Emergency Management Office. We talked with Damon about finding a spot over there, so when we expand our meeting room here, and we're able to move Sarah back a little bit, because this wall's gonna be moved back, and she needs to be back there, and David we're able to get the sheriff to find space across the street from the sheriff's office over by the election board, between the election board and the drug court, over in that area. And so David.
David and I are working together. I was up here the other night till 8 o'clock, kind of boxing up stuff, and I mean, I'll get it as quick as I
Yeah,
can.
we're
but
looking probably by the 15th, having everything done, if that'll
Sweet.
work. If
Okay.
that's doable.
And then there was one item with the server that controls the sirens.
The sirens,
Right.
yes. I reached out to Andy Goddard. So our county siren system is on the top of the 6-story building next door. Andy and Logan works for Andy. I don't know how effective it's going to be if that was to be moved over there, because we're going to lose the tower height to be able to do that.
Okay, that's a technical issue, David. We can work through technical issues of moving the wireless connection between that building and where you're moving to help alleviate some of that. But yeah, so we need to keep the tower here.
Yes.
Is
For right
what-
now, I think it's the best, yeah.
Okay.
What
All
Logan
right.
suggested was we'd be able to leave that computer in the system here somewhere. It could be moved in a closet or do something.
Okay, all right. All right.
I got a question. Do we need to do a board action to move David, or we just,
Well, we can if you want to.
I just find it odd that we didn't do a board action.
Well, I mean, if we were going to replace David, I think we probably need a board action to do that. But that's not what we're talking about. It's just physically moving his office somewhere.
Just a question.
Other than that, I mean, if you want, sir, we can certainly put it on the agenda for next time
I'm okay with
on the
it.
15th.
Give it a pass anyway, so I'm okay with it. I just, conversation.
Yes, sir. Okay.
One thing I would just
Yeah.
say for my benefit is, of course, we pay the utilities on that building on the sheriff's office.
Right.
So would there be any relief by moving David over there? Just asking.
Well, you and I have talked about that before. I think that it's something that we need to consider, for sure. But that's a different board.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's our trust board.
something to consider.
And Monty's the chairman of that.
I think you ought to pay more.
I'll pay in donuts. I'm gonna need more donuts next week.
Okay. Thank you, David. So anything else on item 7? Okay. Move on to item 8, discussion and possible action on annual CED5 distribution to county highway. Monty, back when you were going to the CED5 meetings for us, one of the last things that you brought back that caught my attention was that the year prior to that, we were given $100,000 out of the CED cash fund. And one of the things you brought back was when they went under the new management of the engineering group that's managing it, and they're using about, I don't know, a little over $5,000 a month to pay them to take notes for us, that they needed to wait until January of this year to figure out if there was going to be enough money to distribute to the county. So I asked them to put this on the agenda, and I went to the meeting this last week. And what we got out of that was they decided to allow us to have $40,000 as a county, as counties, right? They didn't, they excluded Canadian County because they were new, right? But each one of us were allowed $40,000. And that's the one that's highlighted in yellow there. So if we split that between the three of us, the 3 road districts, that would give us $13,333.33 for you guys and 34 cents for me because I went to the meeting, so I get the extra penny. But
I got more miles, you gotta let me know.
well, yeah, you got a good point there. Okay, you can have the extra penny. But if we wanted to split that for that, then that was good too. One of the things that I'd like to just throw out for discussion is we talked about buying a piece of equipment for shouldering and doing patching. And this piece of equipment is a little bit higher than $40,000, but it's got the price on the back there. Let's see. Yeah, it's from Van Kimball, and the state contract price is $53,200. And if we were to buy that as a county, then each of us would have to throw in about $4,400 each into doing that. But anyway, that's, you know, if you guys don't want to do that, that's great. I just thought I'd bring that here and
I'm okay with it, Marvin, myself.
see if that's something that we would want to consider doing as a county. Because I can see where that piece of equipment, it allows us to side dress roads and ditches. It allows us to use our 4-foot mill and mill out parts of asphalt roads, and then go back and pave those with a dump truck and that piece of equipment. So
I can certainly use it, that's for sure.
yeah, I think we all could. So, but I mean that's an idea we could use for the 40,000. That way we could submit one plan back to CED5. This is what we're going to do with the money. And anyway,
And do you need a motion on that?
well, I think we do because we're
I
talking
would move
about.
that we use the money on that if Cody.
A second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to use our CED5 cash fund of $40,000 toward buying this road widener from Van Kimball. The state contract price is $53,200. Minus the $40,000 leaves a delta of $13,200 divided by 3. Each district would provide $4,400 toward the purchase of
Do
this.
you have the state contract number on that, just for the record?
I
Y'all wrote you up for that here a while back, so.
I do not, but I will get a hold of Mr. Spears and
I just, on the PO, they
I've
dinged
gotta
it.
figure out how that, we're gonna do that anyway. Y'all are separated on your money, so I'm gonna have to,
Can you just divide it by 3, then we'll make the PO?
that may be what we end up having to do.
so we can't use 4 POs.
Well, like I said, I'll figure it out.
All right, thank you, Bill. That was easy. Okay, while we're on this, while we're on CED, or we can wait until the last part to go over this next part. But I did want to announce that the second page here, we had our STP funds from ODOT was included into one of I think District 2's SERB plans, but the dates don't match up. The dates don't match up. This because they've got us down here in Logan County for STP funds available in 2024, right? So 2024 is when we had the I-35 interchange. I think he had I think they had the STP funds allocated for you for was it
The Luther Road project?
Luther Road project, and that's a long time before that. Well, not a long time, but it's a few years before that. Anyway, 23, the year before maybe. So those funds really won't be available until 2024 for us, and with all the restrictions and that sort of stuff that go with it. I'll wait until we get to comments and announcements of the board before I get to this other part.
Just a quick question. I sent Jeffrey a text message. How can they move the meetings to the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Building?
I don't know that they can, but you know, they have the meetings wherever they want to, I guess. What I found interesting was that he put in the announcement, the email announcement, 3 times masks are mandatory. And when I got there, Zach Cabot from Payne County wasn't wearing a mask, and so I didn't wear one. And we were sitting elbow to elbow, so there wasn't 6 foot distance. I mean, it was.
Well, they never responded back, so I'm just curious why they moved it.
Right. I can't tell you why. I don't know.
I'll send him another message and stuff.
I can follow up on that too, individually with him.
That's all I got.
All right, thanks. I'll also ask the chairman why they were moved. He normally gets a response back to me pretty quick on that kind of stuff. All right, thank you all. All right, enough of that. Item 9, consideration of possible action to approve transfer of funds for District 1 transferring residual donation balance, I like that word, residual, of $5,863.78 from account number 1235-6-4100-2005 to 1102-6-4100-2005.
Which is the current chart of accounts donation fund, sub-account District 1, going back to highway fund, sub-account District 1 M&O.
So we're moving funds from special it's not called special project, what is it called?
It's donation.
Donation fund to M&O. And what happened was, and this was money that was transferred from a previous fiscal year, what happened was in that previous fiscal year was we were in such a hurry to get started on the project that the monies that did the project were expended out of M&O, and they were left in that project fund. And so there's no way for us to recover that other than to legally spend that money out of that account without moving it back to M&O.
I'll move we approve.
I second.
I have a motion and a second on item 9. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, that passes. Item 10, consideration and possible action to approve resolution declaring the following items as surplus for Orlando Fire Department.
The fire departments are having a big cleanup and they're going to have a donation market, for lack of a better word. These items are really old, do not have serial numbers. They're gonna surplus them, and then the volunteer fire departments, February the 6th, I think Mike told me, they're gonna have like a little flea market where if you need it, you can have it type exchange of some of their used equipment, help out some of the smaller departments that may have a need for it. So the disposal resolution will follow up once I know who gets this stuff, but it is surplus for Orlando Fire Department.
Do they have any bulldozers in there?
No.
I move we approve the declaration for surplus.
I second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Monty, that Orlando's in your area. Is there
Yeah.
anything you want to say?
No, if they don't need it, they don't need it.
Okay. All right. So, motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. And so all these items are over $500.
They're under, actually. Most of them are under with no serial numbers. But it was just to tie up because of the sales tax.
So they were bought with sales tax?
Yes.
And because of that, they got to be on the inventory list?
Well, some of the stuff goes back to prior fire chiefs in that, so they weren't really quite sure of cost, whether it was 500 or not.
Right.
Therefore, we're just going to cover our bases and list them on this resolution.
But in the future, really, all they have to put on the inventory list is items over $500, right?
Right,
Okay.
right.
So,
But what is also directed is if you have an unknown factor, follow the procedure as if it was $500 on inventory. Do a resolution.
all right, thank you, ma'am. All right, moving on to item 11. Consideration of possible action to approve resolutions appointing requisitioning officers for various accounts.
Have one for District 2.
Make a motion to approve.
I second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously.
Chairman, I have nothing for 12.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 13, consideration of possible action on consent agenda. While we're on consent agenda, I got a
Payroll.
question, ma'am, on transfers. Is the transfer for the belly dump trailer in the consent agenda? Okay, that's the reason I didn't see it. Okay, thank you, ma'am. That's all I have. So, we're buying a new belly dump trailer from Southwest Trailer off the state contract again. My first piece of new equipment, Sheriff. I mean, come on.
It's big time.
Yeah.
Careful who you let drive it.
Well, so it's comes in two colors, either white or black. And I made the mistake of letting the guys choose what color they wanted. You know what they got? Black, yeah. So, white truck with a black trailer. They're gonna put whoopee lights on it, red and blues.
Be easy to spot.
Right. It looked like a highway patrol trailer going down the road, truck and trailer. while we're busy with our heads down signing these papers,
Yes, sir.
you and I talked about a room over in the big building right over here that you wanted to talk about remodel, maybe a remodel, and allowing the use of that for other purposes.
Yeah. Once all the abatement was finished with it, it's where the Girl Scouts were. It was the law library before that. It was drug court at one time. But it's got the external access door. It's actually got 2 rooms in it. I would like to see us invest. It's probably going to be a few $1,000s. I wouldn't think probably less than 5, I would assume. Actually, maybe with an AC a little more. Have it painted, put the flooring in, and make that an accessible meeting room. We run into real issues on court days, especially with attorneys that need to meet with clients or judges that have sent people out for mediation discussions. We don't have the space. And quite often, a judge will tell them to go to the break room on the first floor of the courthouse, which then creates a problem when employees are in there trying to have lunch or get in and out or what. And we're just lacking meeting space. And that would be a really good place to have available to anyone who needed to have some meeting space available. I think it would be a good investment.
Hey, maybe CED can meet there.
That's a good idea. So without trying to be too confrontational about the judges telling people to go use this room or that room, when did that become an option for the judges to say that they are able to?
It's just what happens. I can't tell you. It's just what happens. And it's because we don't have a place. And
Well, I understand, but I mean, can they say that they need to go use your office?
well, no. I think the thought is that's an open space, so go down there and use it. No one thinks about the fact that, well, we have employees that are, trying to eat their lunch or.
So what I'd like to do with is, since that we've talked about this, let's put that on our agenda, because if we're gonna spend money, that's something that our board needs to talk about and approve. I think that's.
Okay. The use of the break room I'll throw out too. We use it, we meaning my office, because that's where my payroll clerk does her new hire enrollments.
Well,
Because again, it's the only place we have.
It is a break room, that's what I'm getting at, right? That's what it's supposed to be used for, it's not.
Break/meeting.
Ma'am, we
Transfers.
appreciate, you don't have to sit there if you don't want to.
Oh, that's all right, I was gonna.
Okay, awesome.
Afterwards, thank you.
I mean, if I may add, when mediation is here, there's times they use the break room over there and we can't use the microwave or get your lunch out occasionally. I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, but it has happened.
And we do use the break room for employee meeting enrollments. Tracy uses it because we can set 3 or 4 together and take care of that. And, we just need more available space, and I think that space over there would be suitable.
Well, I agree that, the more space we can put to meeting rooms, the better, because we are short on that. It's just how those things get scheduled, to me, seems to be a bit capricious. If it's just, somebody says, well, I want to use it, so go use it. No, that's probably not
And I
a
think
good
sometimes
thing to
that's
do.
what happens is there's an active court proceeding and the judge says, stop, y'all go down, and so it's not like a scheduled event sometimes.
It's not really a public break room. It's kind of a private break room.
I don't know how you printed that so small. That's pretty tough.
I didn't print it.
Monty renovates a 6-story building, there's a lot of meeting space over there.
They can use it right.
Floor number 6, they can use all that they want.
All they want.
Just
Put it back.
trot yourself up there.
Yeah.
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask. Okay.
Bring a BB gun.
With
Take
a
care of the
respirator.
pigeons.
Pigeons, rats, whatever. So with the accident we had, I was talking about that trailer, with the accident we had with the truck, and after ACO paid for the truck and the trailer, to get that Mack truck that we've got, that we approved today, and a new trailer from Southwest Trailer belly dump, we ended up putting just a little over $16,000 with the insurance money to get a new trailer and all that. I think that was a good value for the taxpayer. And Monty, we really appreciate the loan of the Mack truck and the belly dump while we were trying to get caught up on some of that stuff, and you guys too. Thank you.
We've got a new one that's been in the shop forever. Get it back or not, but we've been running that one here forever.
Yeah. Well, if you need any help, we'll get ours, other one in, holler, and be happy to.
Same, I've got one that's just sitting right now.
And y'all just come up and haul 5 days a week, that'd be great.
Just 5 days?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys take 2 days break a week, don't you?
That'd be awesome.
Awesome.
Sean, know you miss all this, signing all that, meetings? Sometimes, not all the time.
Not all the time. You guys are doing a great job.
So Cass, did you put the PO for that trailer after the meeting?
Yeah. The donation transfer part won't be done until Tuesday. That's why I told you to do it the way we're doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so all the money will still be where it's supposed to be in the capital outlay account
Yeah.
to do that. Okay.
And this is election board claims for the month, Chairman signed. Alcoholic beverage tax.
$20,629.90.
You want to take a picture of that?
Is that the election?
No, that's alcohol tax.
Oh, with 20, I was,
Your favorite tax.
$20,629.90.
good enough.
Is that just Guthrie?
Yeah, we don't drink in Crescents.
Right.
Did we get a marijuana report?
Well,
That's included.
we don't get none of that. See, I talked to one of our grow house guys, and you brought that up. They donated money to put gravel on the road, and he called me up the other day and told me how much he appreciated it, and his employees appreciated it. That last year, they grossed $21 million in gross sales. And it's just this one grow house.
Not a bad gig, I guess. That's what you want to do.
He said it pays the bills.
That's the devil's lettuce.
What about the radishes? That's what I mean.
A lot of sick people.
Devil's lettuce.
A lot of knee pain.
Apparently there's more than knee pain than I thought.
It is prescription drugs, you know.
Stress and anxiety.
I'll match up pretty good too.
So David, I had one lady ask me about the shots, the COVID shots.
Yes, sir.
And she said she didn't really want to line up with a bunch of other people and, you know, be in a line and that kind of stuff, be around a bunch of people. And was wondering what the process was to get a private shot, you know, like at a doctor's office or something like that. Is there anything like that at all available?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, everything that I've been helping the health department with, I mean, they're trying to social distance and space and do as best they can, but she may reach out to her doctor's office, or she may try reaching out to her pharmacy. She may try reaching out to Walgreens or CVS and see, but right now, my understanding, you know, however each county health department's kind of doing their own thing. A different county health department may be doing something different than what they're doing here. I don't know about the other 76 counties. I just know from our health department.
Just a question, like the trolley system here in Guthrie, are they trying to help get the senior citizens up there and through the lines? And is there any CARE Act money that they can get, you know, funded back through for doing
I
that?
don't know about the CARES Act. I've asked because I've had a gentleman from the Meals on Wheels contact me, and I've asked the health department, but their deal right now is they're doing the vaccination clinics. I gave the gentleman from Meals on Wheels a couple of possible ideas, but I don't know if that's going to work or not. In a perfect world, obviously anybody that wants it could have it, and we wouldn't have to do vaccine clinics every day and different things like that. But I can say I wasn't down there today, obviously, because I'm here, but the last 4 days I've been down there helping, and yesterday I bet it was 450 people came through, and it was the most that has ever been. They have to go to the vaccinate.oklahoma.gov to sign up for it. I know there's people are having challenges with that, and I hate that. I wish everybody that could get it could get it.
I wish they didn't need it.
Yeah. But I would say contact her doctor's office and like Walgreens or CVS and see if she meets the criteria that's 65 and over, a first responder, healthcare worker, and see if there's something on that end.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Item 14, consideration and possible action on approving claims for payments for January 2021. This is what we get to do a lot of, is sign papers.
Get to perfect your signature.
It ruins mine. By the end of the session, I'm just scribbling.
Seems like the further we go, the shorter money's gets.
Start off bad and I wind up bad. I just initial these, I think that's all you gotta do.
Is that true? Well, I'm shortening mine up there.
I didn't know that.
I get writer's cramp.
I should have told you.
Yes, sir, you're right.
We'll get through claims, I'll move that we approve. But I'd rather look at them.
That'll be the next item.
Interesting. That's the fat one.
I second.
Have a motion and a second on claims. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimously. Item 16, any citizen desiring to be heard.
Chairman, we need item 15.
Item 15, oh, excuse me, purchase cards, yes. Consideration of possible action on fee cards.
I'll move we
I
approve.
forgot fee cards.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Gotta have a key card.
Yeah, we gotta do that. Be nice if we could use those on large equipment, but we won't beat that horse today. All right, citizens desiring to be heard. Young man with the masked man in the back there.
Yes, sir, I'm with CEC Engineering, Bobby Kennish, and today I spoke in the last County Commissioners meeting. We have Mike here today to present you with your bridge inspection books that we would like to meet, as discussed, prior after the meeting, to if you would like to evaluate them. But we do have your books available today
All right, thank you very much. Go ahead.
for signatures.
All right. Any other citizen?
I had something, I don't know if you want to do this or next, but I had something that was kind of brought to my attention that I think I wanted to share with you guys on a House bill that is in legislation, or do you want me to wait till the next one?
Probably comments,
Okay,
questions
okay.
by the board.
We'll do that.
Because even though you're a citizen, you're not really,
Gotcha.
you're an employee.
I just wanted to share something with you for your benefit.
All right, then. With hearing no other citizens, item 17, comments, announcements, questions by the Board of County Commissioners. Hang on just a second.
Nothing here.
Yes, I do have something. I was able to attend, virtually attend the ACO legislative meeting on Tuesday, January 26th. It was brought to my attention that there's been some misinterpretation of a statute, and some people are using it in other counties to prosecute or fine residents. And I've got copies of this. If y'all would like for me to read the statute, I can. But basically just wanted to let y'all be aware of it and let y'all know about it, and just kind of keep an eye on it.
So this is where people are being prosecuted for putting debris in county right-of-way after being told to do so, and then somebody else comes along and writes them a ticket for blocking the right-of-way or fining them.
Right.
I think the statute says $5 a day or something like that.
Yes, and it's also, it can be considered a misdemeanor based on the offenses.
Right.
So,
So this is not something that we would normally pursue here in Logan County, right? 'Cause-
No, sir, it's first on record.
Right. I didn't think we would. But, yeah, thanks for bringing that to our attention, and we'll look this over. Appreciate that. Anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a legislator, Sean Roberts, out of District 36, was this northeastern Oklahoma, I believe. He's put forth a bill, House Bill number 2839. I don't think it's going to pass, but I just wanted you guys to be aware of it. Basically, the gist of the bill is no city under, or no counties with 100,000 or under population, those cities would have to contract with that county for all emergency management services. No ifs, ands, or buts. I don't think it's gonna pass, but so Mulhall, Coyle, Crescent, Guthrie, all of our, if this was to pass, all of those towns would be required to contract with Logan County. So I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. I don't think it's gonna pass, but it's out there.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
One of the other things we had talked about at a prior meeting was ID cards for the county employees. I think the county clerk and the county sheriff have gone off and developed a couple of test cards for us. Troy, is that something we can look
Yeah,
at?
Damon's put this together. My recommendation, we're gonna go with the vertical. They hang better.
Right.
I've got cards, slots, lanyards sitting in the shopping cart to get ordered. Developed a form, gonna confirm with the sheriff the process. The initial run isn't what's most difficult for the go-between. It's when we're onboarding new people and how we're gonna get them scheduled with your office to
Well,
get
the way,
this.
the way that I see this going, the way we do it a lot of times is we'll take our phone, get a background, take a picture, and email it to who's ever making the card. So the way that I would like to see this done, so employees aren't waiting, is we'll get a form, or it can be an email with a picture attached, and then we'll in turn take that, put it on the card, do everything we need to, and have them come pick it up or whatever, so we don't have people sitting around waiting on it. It's a pretty simple process once you get the format down, and we can change anything on that card, as far as titles, offices.
You did it pretty ugly on that.
I told him he needed a better model on his card.
And I searched the internet for money, and there's just nothing.
Oh, you should, darn, I could have given you one. Anyway, we're in the process of making it happen, it's just not ready yet.
Thanks for that observation, Monty, I appreciate that.
You look alike.
You might look at it. See what you think.
Thank you very much.
There's a little photo op on it or something.
Bobby, what?
Just a tidbit information at the CD5 meeting, if anybody was interested, there is a good amount of money available in the ETR funds if somebody's needing any.
So the ETR funds is something we gotta pay back, and I don't think any of us wanna borrow funds and have to pay them back. And
That's fine, I just thought out there for
We-
information.
Yeah, not that I don't appreciate your bringing that up, but I know this board pretty well, and I don't think any of us wanna use ETR funds for anything that we gotta pay for right now, but thanks.
We don't mind taking it, just give them it.
Yeah, if they wanna give us money, that's fine.
Pay it back in 2032.
I do have one more thing.
All right, what do you got, sir?
On one of the meetings also, they were talking about implementing rainy day funds. They're trying to push legislative to where counties can have rainy day funds available also.
There is a bill out there, and I can tell you that I've
That's what I
read
was
the
looking for
bill.
right now.
I stay pretty legislatively aware, sitting on the committees I do. I don't like it. I like the idea of being able to designate a rainy day fund, but the strings they attached in this bill would be a no-go, because we could set aside X dollars to the rainy day, but then we could only use that money for their specified purposes.
Right, there's no, and not only that, you can't transfer it back out of that account.
Yeah, I don't think as written it will go anywhere.
No. All right. Okay, I agree.
That's just something to keep an eye on.
Troy, anything else from your end, legislation for the signs, for the reward system?
Senator Hall contacted me 2 weeks ago. He had still had his note about needing to change the legislative, the statute that covers the ability for the county to have a reward for vandalism. As written, it's not workable. And so worked with him, his staff, pulled from the litter reward statutes, and he has ran the bill. I don't have a bill number, but so he has run the bill to change the reward statutes to basically tie together the process. Somebody's got to turn in the sheriff, it's got to go to the DA, and then it would filter down to us.
all the issues that you talked about previously when we were talking about that. Yeah. Okay, great. One other piece of legislation that's come out and that I support is Senate Bill 445, which would fund the 12.5% reimbursement from the state for FEMA funds for this latest disaster we had back in October. So they're going to, I think it's like $22 million that they're going to set aside, or would set aside if this passes, right? But it's finding the money, right? But that's another thing that, again, Senator Hall's been, it's not his bill, but he's helped put that through, and those are things that we've talked with him about, and he continues to help us with. So I do support that as well. And with that, I think we're ready for item 18. If there's no other discussion.
I'll move.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. We're adjourned.